Welcome to the very first episode of the Hairy Joiners podcast, where we will be chatting about all things timber throughout a series of podcasts. Today we're focusing on doors and windows, and timber doors and windows clearly, and a bit about the joinery network. So there's a bit of an icebreaker if we could just go round the room, introduce ourselves, a bit about ourselves, history, how we got into joinery, and your relationship with the joinery network. So I'll kick it off. I'm Luke Piper, MD of BJ Waller, which is a hardware supplier into the joinery industry. I'm also one of the 4 directors of the joinery network. And what relationship I've got with the joinery network and what it's brought to me is the opportunity to sort of have the right to build relationships with these guys round the table today. Without that, I feel, as just a hardware supplier, it was proven that just a hardware supplier, it's difficult to build those relationships as in depth as what I've managed to build, and it's given me a massive insight into the industry, the issues with the industry, and the beauty of it, and given me a great passion for it. So that is me. Erin, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm Erin. So I'm an investor and a business coach in the joinery industry. I'm also a director of BJ Waller and of the Joinery Network. I also have a suite of companies that I invest in. And my passion is freeing business owners up in the woodworking industry, because so many of them have started off on the tools. They then have grown the business, are running the business, but don't really know how to run a business and don't know how to scale it. So my passion is helping them get out of the day-to-day cog of being in the business and actually learning to work on the business, taking them out and being able to scale that and grow it, and then ultimately being able to sell it, because no business is saleable if the owner is part and parcel and everything has to go through them. So my passion is changing the industry so that people can learn how to run businesses rather than just work in them.
Awesome. John?
I'm John from JF Joinery and JFJ Wood Flooring, based in the southwest. I think I was probably one of the first ones to take on all the full lignin tooling.
You were.
I was approached by Owen and nearly kicked him out of the workshop when he came in and told us what we were doing wrong, after spending my whole life from 20 years old to now I'm 66. But no, I love the business. I love the joinery network and the friends that I made in it. And more than anything, I like how it's turned around my profit margins.
Fantastic.
Very important. I'm Owen Dare, time served joiner carpenter for over 40 years. Started on the tools, doing my citizen guilds and advanced crafts, working on various building sites, doing first, second fit, doing shuttering, carpentering, doing roofs, doing pretty much any joinery really. From there I went back into training, learning management skills, running building sites, but also running joinery shops, shop floor manager, all the way up to director, technical director of a very large window and door business in Essex. Had a vision really 6 years ago to help the industry, very much like Erin, supporting industry and bringing it into the 21st century. Is to grow the business structure and the efficiency of joiners so that they can make more profit with a better product and meet all the current legislational needs. The joinery network was grown really from my meeting with Luke and Lights Tooling, trying to find a product that would suit the industry and be flexible enough for everybody within that matrix. We now have a really comprehensive range which we offer the joiners, and John being one of those, and our colleagues here. And that's really where we want to grow, really, further field and bring joiners up to a standard where they can have a profitable business. Ian.
I'm Ian Selby. I'm Managing Director of Timberwood. I was a time-served joiner back from 16, so I've been in the joinery industry now for
20 years?
Nearly 50 years. Love restoring Britain's heritage, making exact match windows. Been in that sector, a lot of restoration work, developing ranges of windows, building teams. We operate out of West London by Twickenham Rugby Ground. I like to regard ourselves as a specialist contractor. We're working with the Joinery Network on their range of products, for PAS24 in particular. I think it's added a lot to us. I love being part of this Joinery Network. I think it's a really exciting group of people. And I'm just passionate for the industry being successful, training people, bringing people through, having self-respect for itself, and engaging in this way really to share industry problems. It's not just shared by big suppliers, it's shared by those people that actually make windows and doors. So yeah, that's me.
I'm Steve Winscott, Director of 90 Timber Windows and Doors. Similarly to these guys that have just spoke, Ian, John and Owen, I've been in the joinery industry for most of my life, from about 16. Trained carpenter joiner, and then took the sort of leap to start a manufacturing business 6 or 7 years ago now. And part of that process, I mean, it's difficult to navigate your way through business because the initial start, I started with smaller businesses, doing loft conversions, site joinery, stuff like that, and then we set out on the frontier, if you like, for joinery manufacture. And some of the introductions that I've had through the joinery network have helped navigate that path, I'd say. I mean, I've collaborated with some of the guys in this room. Owen has definitely given me some sound advice, and everyone here really, and that's the beauty of it, the networking element and the resources within it can make some of those decisions and parts of that growth a lot easier. And yeah, it's also a resource where any questions you might have, or when when you're selling yourself, there's things that you can fall back on and sort of proof check some of the more technical stuff of it. So like, when we're trying to meet things like U values, the PAS 24 element and all that kind of stuff, it helps to have confidence in those areas, I'd say. And yeah, just the general sort of us being able to sit around in a room and chat through these things in the industry. So yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Andy Ball from Balls 2 Marketing and one of the founder directors of Joinery Network. I got into the joinery side of things with, I suppose, a little bit of frustration really. I haven't had a good career in manufacturing PVC windows and aluminium windows. I just could not understand why it was so difficult to get a fully certified timber window when you're looking at top-end products. It just seemed very, very difficult. So really my mission was to try and bring the systemised way of manufacturing that we had in timber, in PVC and aluminium into the timber industry, which is when I met Luke, working with BJ Waller Hardware, and we kind of took this to Lights Tooling, and we met Owen along the way, and that was the start of the Joinery Network.
Awesome. I remember that day very well, actually, because we were driving to the meeting, Andy, and we were discussing what it needed to be, and we were coming up with all this different terminology. We need to put it under an umbrella, and we need to do this. And he said, "What, you mean like a network?" And I went, "Yeah, the Joinery Network." And he went, "Let's just call it that." That'll do, donkey. So yeah, I guess it would be why I wanted this dynamic of people in the room is, whilst you're all engaged with the Joinery Network, John, Ian and Steve, as manufacturers, you all do it slightly differently. You've all got different size business, different dynamics to your business, you're different people. So it was really, and we will get off of the Joinery Network a bit in a while. I just wanted to focus on that to start with and then get into timber windows and doors in general. But how has it changed your business from what it was, and what are the advantages and disadvantages, if there are, of belonging to that Joinery Network? Like, what has it done? Has it changed it for the good, better, indifferent? What opportunities has it brought to you as a business? That's really, because there's a lot of people sitting on the fence with this. They're coming up to, they know they need to do something. They know they need to be compliant. They know they need to belong to something, but they don't know whether to take that final step. So what would your advice be, and how has it changed your businesses? And you don't have to all do it in a row. You can just chip in and fire stuff about. So, just chat a bit about that, really.
I mean, I suppose it's always down to you as the director or MD of a business to run the business, and everyone's got their own different ways of doing that. But I feel like what I've found beneficial is having a group, a network of people that are all, all within that industry. Like Andy, for example, you're on the marketing side of things, but you've got a long history in in windows and doors and glazing, if you like, which is all, there's all subtle links throughout the whole thing, and it just means that they're all kind of, you know, you make all your own decisions at the end of the day, who you want to buy from, what you want to do, you know, but it keeps it all in-house to some degree. Like, it means that you've got a lot of resources available to you. Business is about you connecting with people at the end of the day, and yeah, it makes that sort of, it makes you feel part of something, I suppose. When sometimes you can be running things and you're doing everything your way, and you know, you're very focused on certain things, but it just opens up the doors to different ideas and conversation, I suppose, more than anything else.
And what's the hardest thing about running a joinery company?
God, where do we start?
Okay, list 5.
We've got all day.
I suppose the red tape side of things, with things like the PAS 24 and the ever-changing landscape out there.
Yeah.
With, like, now 1 minute it's trickle rents, 1 minute it's U values, 1 minute it's this, like it's a forever changing landscape, and it helps to sort of have that support, I suppose, sometimes and advice about where as a collective you think it's going, and where you think it might be the best way for you to go. You know, there's all running any business is no secret that running the businesses can be difficult. It can be great as well, but a timber window and door business specifically, I think one of the challenges I think certainly is some of the red tape that needs to be got through, and it's an affordable way of getting certified for one, and I just think that it opens up the doors for conversations to be had, like for glazing, for example. The big one now is U value, so it's always a hot topic of things to talk about, and you're talking to people that you'd like to think know a little bit about it, you know. So it helps, it gives you confidence, I suppose, in some ways.
I think one of the main problems is this industry in particular is very difficult communicating.
Yeah.
We're all, it's best kept secret. They're all very good joiners, and maybe not so many good business people, but we're very good at making stuff. And when we have problems, we keep it secret because we think, oh God, we've made a mistake.
Yeah, almost to be like
we
one
don't want
step
anybody
ahead
else to know we've made a mistake. But the reality is, if we all talk to each other on a more sort of even platform, the mistakes would be less because we'd all learn from each other. There's plenty of work out there for everybody, so if we raise the profile of the industry, that means we'll actually capture more work. And this is the problem, because we all keep very quiet and we work in our own little bubble, we only capture the work that we know within that little bubble. So by talking like this, through networking, through doing our joinery hour every Friday morning, getting people to talk to each other, we find out the problems, and we actually realise, we have the same problem. Can we all collectively, and we'll have more purchasing power, certainly for timber and things like this. A lot of the timber suppliers only bring in what they can move, obviously, but we want specific things sometimes. I had a phone call this morning about insulated panels. Where can we get these insulated panels from? Everybody seems to be stopped selling them. If collectively as a network we can say, right, all my customers want this, or all of the joinery industry wants this, then they'll put it on the shelf and make it easier for us. And this is what the networking is all about, really. Finding out what the problems are and finding solutions.
I would agree with that as well. I think in the very early days, Steve and I worked on quite a big project of mine together. A lot of sliding sash windows, a lot of casement windows, lots of doors. And the Joinery Network introduced me to Steve. Probably the worst thing they've ever done. But I think you'd agree, Steve. And we spent quite a lot of time talking about the Joinery Network, and it was an interesting conversation. Yeah, and I think it was in the early days for you with the Joinery Network, certainly for me.
Yeah, I think we were both quite early on, weren't we, in the whole thing?
Yeah. But it was really useful. We both swapped over notes and things. Well,
again, it's bringing it back to that collaboration thing, and there's been various different things where it's getting people talking and making those introductions, and helping each other out. Whereas that link would have never been made.
Yeah.
Without,
No, you'd have been two competitors.
Totally
Separate.
Totally agree. And I mean, Steve's passed casement windows my way for producing for him, and vice versa with sash windows
Yeah,
and
that
things,
was,
and that's
yeah,
worked
that
out
was the
quite well.
ability to do that with, again, being it a bit more of a systems house, like you referred to it before. You know that you can both provide the same product. You have confidence in the product, not necessarily the same, but it's you know it's gonna fill the criteria.
Yeah, I've seen that over the last sort of 5 years since starting the Joinery Network, and working with members there. That it started off very much, well, I've always done it this way, and you know, I've developed this product myself, which I'm seeing that change a lot actually. It's much more collaboration, as Steve was saying, and certainly it's much more of what I'm used to working in the wider window industry, working with the PVC and the aluminium manufacturers. They all talk to each other. They all share information because they have that shared situation. A lot of them are using the same systems, and I think that's what the Joinery Network does bring to it. It brings that consistency of product, and suddenly you can see those opportunities of saying, well, actually, yeah, I can take that bigger job on because I've got somebody who can do the overspill that I have confidence in, and I think that makes a big difference.
Well, and it changes from being sort of fierce competitors, if you like, to people that are actually collaborating rather than working against each other, which is a nice element to it, I'd say.
Yeah.
I think what when I was at the SPD show the other week, people were asking me explain the network, what you're doing, and quite simply, not I want to sort of relate us too much to plastic, but effectively how we got on SPD is to become a system house, and that was sort of Andy's background, saying, well, this is how those guys do it. So if you think the plastic industry's huge, and a lot of them will be using exactly the same profile. So you could go to 50 different window manufacturers or installers, and they'll all be using Ray Howe system, whatever it is, the same profile. But none of them care because they're all branding it differently.
Exactly.
But they're making the most of that. So that centralised, what we've discussed no end of time, that sort of centralised marketing resource, centralised knowledge base, the centralised networking, because you've got that common, something in common, and you, like you guys have done, shared that project, and there'll be a lot more of that to come. And we'll come on to how a lot of your business is done, but a lot of people are seeing this opportunity now, where before it was a massive barrier. Everybody was like, well, I don't want to make the same product as him up the way.
Yeah.
No. How many different ways can you make a flush casement at the end of the day?
Yeah.
I had the barrier of, and Owen's heard this as well. Well, you were the worst, John. That's what we've always said. If we can get John Fanthorpe on the Joinery Network, we can get
Anybody, yeah.
And I say that to every single person I speak to, right? But no, it was,
I'm sorry, Lee.
It's all right. It's been enjoyable since. But no,
I don't think it has.
It's one way, yeah.
It was a barrier of internally beading. It was a barrier of, I don't want to. Well, but my window's got a 15mm rebate. Yours has got an 18mm rebate. I don't want to change that. My customers like a 15mm rebate. Really?
Like they care,
Do
yeah.
they know what it is? Do they know what a rebate is? It was all of that stuff that we broke down. And slowly but surely, people got over that, and now they're seeing the benefit of actually working together, like every other industry pretty much in the world does, other than us. So it's huge, I think. Huge.
Yeah.
I don't think we've even knocked the top off of that at the moment.
No.
Customers are still saying, my window, my customers like, and I always ask the question, how do you know? You haven't met this customer yet, so how do you know what they're like? The trouble is that a joiner is not a salesperson. He's very good at making a product, but he'll go and sell what he wants to make because he's got a passion for it.
But also what he's always made. And that's because...
Yeah, totally agree with that. I mean, I'm the oldest here, and I'm the most...
Well, only just.
I've been doing it since I'm 20, and I'm now 66. And, when did the Joinery Network start?
6 years ago now.
6 years ago, I had some bloke come into my bloody workshop called Owen Down, who really didn't say anything what I was doing right. All he bloody well said was what I'm doing wrong. Told me that external glazing is a non-runner, don't do it. I've done that all my life. I said, I'm not going on to bloody internal glazing. I don't like that. It's a crappy design window you've got, Owen, and all the rest of it. I nearly chucked him out.
Next thing you know, we're doing a plot of 50 houses internally.
and also, I suppose after a while, they don't really like to admit it, but I did warm to the guy. And so much so, he's been on holiday to Cornwall now, and we've been riding around on a motorbike together. But yeah, I've got to admit that. Well, I don't like admitting this, but I was wrong. He was right, and what the Joinery Network have done for me is, and Owen especially has done for me really, has increased my profits by no end. And we've always made money, Joinery business, I don't think there's any excuse not to make money in the joinery world, but with the tooling and things that lights are provided and Owen's designed, Jesus Christ, the sky's the limit. It really is.
Why have you made more profits? What's made the difference?
Efficiency, really. The tooling is brilliant. When we bought the tooling from Lights, we wanted to go one stage further. Everything was going to be sleeved onto HSKs to make it even quicker for changing tooling over. I mean, just lifting up a block of tooling, dropping it into a machine, it's just so easy. It takes seconds. And I looked into Vertonghen's, bigger machines and all the rest of it. But we operate with 2 glorified spindle moulders and a tenner. And I think it can keep up with the best. And it's pretty low cost outlay. So, yeah, buying the tooling was a bit of a cost situation, but it was very easy, really, for me to see how quickly we could get the money back on that tooling without going into massive expense on other machinery.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest outlays, for a small joinery company, we work, as in, with the network, anything from a one-man band in the back of a farm building up to a medium-sized business, is that front-end cost. They see a cost first without the benefit. They don't understand the longevity of the tooling firstly, the longevity of the product, and how you sell that, and then all of the gains that you get in it. Because it's not just about the machining side, it's the assembly side, the glazing side, all of those things. The joinery network helps you from the day you cut a stick to the part you paint to deliveries. We help you through all of those processes, which we can look at in all areas. And everybody's making mistakes. Pretty much I could record what I say and just give it to them on a video link, and they would do, because they're all doing the same things. Because we all talk the same way, and I'm taught the same way as a joiner and carpenter, and this way we're under here making this product in this manner just helps the efficiency. But it's always about driving down waste as well, and those parts which a lot of customers are still hell bent on using solid. Sapele is the favourite word to use at the moment. Still in the industry, there's probably, I would say, 80% of joiners still use Sapele as their go-to species. Where using other species now is an option, providing you design your product correctly, allow natural drying and ventilation, then any species should last 30 years plus, up to 60 years and more. Wow. And that's really what we sort of, as an industry, most customers will think the timber industry is high cost and high maintenance. That's still the perception of what we actually sell, but the reality is it's low cost over its longevity of its life compared to any other substrate that you would use in the window industry.
And with a low carbon footprint.
We are the only self-sustainable.
Sustainability side.
That's coming in more and more and more.
Well, you look at timber self-sustainable. We need it for oxygen, and obviously new trees give off more oxygen, which means we need it for breathing. It's self-sustainable. Even the glass is recyclable. Even the weather seals are recyclable. The hardware is recyclable. There's nothing harmful within that product. Water-based systems means that we're not polluting the planet. Everything about it is the right tick box for the environment. Where a lot of other substrates, even though they can be recycled, the energy of recycling that isn't thought about, and the cost of doing that, and what the pollution factors of that are. So I think going timber is the greener, a more efficient way, but it's also, we know it enhances properties. Value of properties go up with timber over other substrates, and and it always can be changed colour. So if you have a different fad, you want to have grey this day and white the next and pink the next, you just got to get some painting on there. You don't have to do it yourself. You can hire professionals to do this. It's not difficult. Paint coatings now last 10 years plus, depending on location, obviously, and elevation. But you know, they can last a lot longer than what people think.
Ian, are you seeing, obviously you work across from specification side and conservation right the way through down to homeowners. Are you seeing a change in attitudes toward timber?
Yes, and I think from our perspective, we knew Owen and Dave Snowding from Mumford & Wilson a lot earlier than the joinery network, to be honest with you. We're known as a specialist manufacturer of timber windows. We do lots of restoration work. We take windows out, we make sashes to existing, we do lots of exact match, mortise and tenon, we've got a crafter machine, we've got various ways of making a whole range of windows. So we were known for that. So for us, the joinery network was slightly different with their product. We went to a number of manufacturers, some down in Wales and various places around the UK and Europe, and we tried to buy product because we wanted to increase our turnover, if you like, and our customer base. So we went out and we picked up products that we thought were quite reasonably good, and immediately we hit with all the problems that came with that. They didn't really understand what they were making. They didn't really know what tooling they'd invested in. They didn't understand the UK market or the UK client. So we went through a period of a few years where I would say we were repairing or remaking other joinery that we'd already purchased. So it was a really bad time for us to just go in the market and say, look, we'll go to that company there and we'll get another 100 windows from there. And we didn't really know. At the end, it was like some kind of vegetable soup mixture. For want of a better description.
Is that because everybody did it differently, or
everybody did it differently? They all had a different way. They all had slightly different timber. They all had slightly different glaze, even down to the spacer bars or the glass available or the hardware. And our teams didn't really know what to expect was going to come because we were buying on capacity space without a defined system. So what the transition happened at Timberwood was we've maintained all our existing manufacturing. And there's a few reasons why we've done that. We've done it because we need to offer it to the listed conservation and period building market. That's a very specialist market. They are very discerning clients. They're to the millimetre. We do lots of drawings and things for council applications. So that side we wanted to keep. And being a small manufacturer based in London, we couldn't really go in and say, right, we're going to produce 200 systematic windows. It wasn't going to work for us as a sort of way forward. So, but our clients, the Wilmot Dixons of the world and the CBREs, they were buying products for us for certain projects, but they had huge projects that we couldn't access because I didn't have a product, I didn't have the testing of it or the certification or the capacity to supply. So through the joinery network and through Owen, we looked at doing our own system, which we've partnered with certain people to inside the joinery network, and we buy from manufacturers. And what we love about it is that the product always comes the same. Doesn't matter whether I buy it from someone in Wales or someone on the south coast. That system of the joinery network lignum window comes as it is in exactly the way I expect it to, and this gave us consistency. Now we've got a certified product that I can put in. You know, we're really strong in things like health and safety, project management, on-site scaffolding systems. We're really, really good at doing that end of it, and I didn't want Timberwood to expand so much into what I'd call automated window manufacturing. I wanted to maintain our skilled joiners, train youngsters, and make sure they were doing bows and bends and curves and, you know, gothics and really skilled joinery work, so I could maintain that, but at the same time grow our business on the basis of a window that I knew and understood that we could sell as part of our system. So for us, we decided to keep our existing machinery and equipment and invest elsewhere, which is what we did with Owen, and it's been very, very successful to us because our goal was to obviously maintain a presence in the listed conservation and period home sector where we could be unique and exact match, and then also go out to the house building market, the extension market, and buy in products that we could put our name behind and install. So and that's more where I think Timberwood's future is going to be also, is in more the sort of barcoding, warehousing, distribution of a really, really good product, and yet when there's a special property that needs it, we can still supply all the sashes to existing or casements to existing, and still got the expertise in our whole team to deliver that project. So we took a slightly different view with the Joinery Network, but we're really glad we joined, because what we see is there's manufacturers here around the table and others that we can buy windows from, and it will be exactly the same. So when you look at the PVC industry, having the suppliers to supply those with windows, this makes quite obvious sense to me. I think what's wrong with the joiners, or what their issue is that they see themselves as specially skilled people. They want to stay in that,
Which they are.
and
Yeah.
they are highly
Yeah.
skilled people, and they want to train people underneath them. The trouble is they've got joinery tangled up with a window and door industry that's become very litigious, and when you're competing, no disrespect, there's a Polish, Lithuanian, Estonian manufacturers out there who are delivering great products, and they're already being sold in the UK to big developers at a very discounted price. So if you've got a small factory in Windsor, it's very hard to go up against them. It would, if I was in the state now, I had a small joinery shop of 6 to 8 to 10 people, I'd probably want to keep them highly skilled doing oak kitchens, for example, or conservatories or something of that nature, and buy in windows that came with the certificates, offer them to my clients, so I kept the client base, but bought in a window would make really good sense, because the moment you go to compete with that, so there's going to be manufacturers, I think, of windows, and installers and sellers of windows, and that's how I think the industry is going to unfold, and I think that's one of the biggest opportunities of the Joinery Network, is to be with manufacturers like Steve and with John, who are supplying in, and I'd happily buy windows from them, and my guys put it in, because I don't have any manufacturing base like they do, but I have the on-site base and the customer base. So I think the industry is going to have a bit of a realignment along
But
with
also
that.
from like a warranty point of view, and the servicing afterwards, if you've got a product that you can rely on a broad scale, anything that needs to go back at, needs to be looked at all, it makes that whole procedure a lot simpler.
Yes.
If you're talking about bespoke products that alter from one order to the next, that becomes a lot more of a minefield when it comes to any problems that relate.
You never know what hinges or something. Well, the holes are in the wrong place.
Yeah, exactly. But if you go back and you've got that confidence in a product on a broad scale, you know what you're dealing with, you can train people easier. So again, when it comes to scaling businesses up, all of these things play a part in that.
And we've noticed a massive change I don't so often now deal with the householder, the owner of the property. I'm mainly dealing through builders. We have umpteen builders buy joinery from us, and that's been brilliant for me, because to be honest, I don't want to go up and down ladders measuring up jobs. and
that knee.
Or that bladder,
Or skirt.
or dealing with homeowners who change their mind 100 times.
Yeah.
It's much easier if I can deal with the
Business
builder.
to business,
Much easier.
Yeah.
So that's been a massive change for us. And also we're very lucky, because we do millions of pounds worth of flooring. That side of it, my son runs in JFJ Wood Flooring, and the two businesses for me, or for us, are so interlinked. One feeds off the other. And already, I've met 3 people within the Joinery Network who've supported the flooring business, and
That's brilliant.
JFJ Wood Flooring, an affiliate member with you, aren't they?
Absolutely.
All helps.
Yeah.
All it's a good package.
Yeah.
I think it's we're seeing the change now coming through on the timber side of things. Where a few years ago, you used to talk to installers and say, well, you're selling aluminium, you're making good money on that, you're selling PVC, why don't you sell timber? Can't get anybody to supply me, mate. Just can't get it, because I know a local joinery company, got a few nice jobs from him, good product. Then he got busy on another job, couldn't supply me.
Lead time was a year,
Lead time went right out. I got an unhappy customer. I'm not going there again. It was never about the price. Timber's more expensive, because it should be more expensive for all the reasons you just talked about. But that confidence I'm seeing with some installers is coming back. With companies that are focusing on trade, it's like 90 and other members in the Joinery Network now, because they've got the consistency of product and the ability to scale it, much more comfortable to take trade business on. The right kind of trade customers, obviously. And I think that'll start to eke into the PVC and the aluminium market over the next few years.
I think if you don't modernise as well, still remaining, as we have, relatively small. But if we'd stayed as we were, I'm not sure that we would be operating now, because I think there's a lot of joinery companies out there who their profit margins must be getting squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. And I feel sorry for them, but we would have been in the same situation if sort of you just got to sometimes let go of some of the ideas and ways that you've been doing things for years and years. And as you get older, that gets harder. But if you are willing to do that, and you know, get somebody like Owen to come in, after all, you can tell him to F off if you want to, but you know,
And many do, yeah.
Yeah, some do, you know, but I think that it makes all the difference, you know, looking at other ways and talking to other joinery companies, which certainly in all the years that I've been going, I'll be friendly with other joinery companies, but as you rightly said, people keep it under your belt. Don't say, oh, you do this, don't say, oh, you do that.
Yeah.
Well, we don't want to stop, you know, the historical side of joinery is always going to be there. We are a very historical island, you know, we have lots of history, and we don't want to stop that manufacturing process, doing bespoke stuff. Yeah, that word bespoke, I don't know how much of really is bespoke, but matching profiles and systems and the aesthetics of a window is still going to be there, but you can run that alongside a window and door system as well. So now you've got the best of both worlds. You not can only do the historical stuff, you can do the total refurb, you can go into conservation, you can go into listed, you can go into new build. You literally open up your portfolio, and that's really what this is all about. The joinery windows are quite flexible anyway. The ligament range fixed is really sort of for the new build, but it'll do conservation, it'll do refurbishments, it'll do slim sections, it'll do larger, chunkier sections. It's timber at the end of the day. We can manipulate it within a given range, but it still allows us to do all of those things that joiners want to do. And if they want to branch
the hardest
out,
part is that certification.
well, that's
For a small joiner to
Yeah.
get what you said is to
Exactly.
certify
Yeah, it's a
their
massive
own,
challenge.
to certify their own, test it, make the test samples and pass it. What's the blessing is that your
I
system
know.
comes with all of that.
I had a
with it.
company
So
this morning
it's
on
the
the way
hardest
here,
part.
phoned me up. He's failed 2 French door tests under PAS 24. What can I do, Wayne? What am I doing wrong? Can
Buy
we
a
have
license.
hell bent on making their own window, their own style of window that doesn't look any different to our window or next neighbour's window, but they're hell bent on doing it their own way. And I've been working with them on other projects, and now they're asking me to get this French door through. They need it for their company process, and so just follow our lead, follow what you guys are doing, and why spend all of that trial and treat on what's a test, thousands of pounds for testing, and loss of time, and your sanity for doing that as well, because we all get frustrated. I know watching testing myself is very nervy, and never guaranteed of the right result.
Well, you had a mullet when you started.
Exactly.
Second
I'm
test
only,
of the job.
I'm only 25. So somebody actually does say, where's your certification? Where's your documentation? And if you haven't got it, and I've had this last year and the year before, companies coming to us, done a house full of windows on a new build, can't get it signed off because somebody's actually thought, oh, I better do my job today. So it's not worry about what we have and haven't got. Let's do the right things as an industry. The plastic industry just do this straight away. If something changes, they just do it.
Yeah.
We go, oh, bury my head in the sand. Let's forget about it. Nobody's going to worry about it. We'll get by. If we do that, we're always going to stay like a cottage industry. We're never going to grow. We're never going to capture more of the market, because we're all going to be doing something slightly different, and there's no guarantees to the end user that we've got a good product.
Yeah. Well, it's like having insurance, isn't it? It's like having insurance on your car or your house. It's like you generally don't ever have to claim for it, but that one time you do when your house burns down, then you're very glad you've been paying £30 a month for your insurance or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think the thing is, it's that cost effective that, I mean, even from my point of view, the level of business I do that actually, you know, does strictly require PAS 24 or Part Q isn't a huge chunk of the business I do. But when those jobs come around, 150 windows that does need it, or it might be 20 windows, but you know you're ready for it straight away. Like,
It becomes normal, doesn't it?
It just becomes you're doing everything pretty
Yeah.
much like that,
Yeah.
and so it makes that whole step easy. And so when they come around, you're ready for it. You got confidence in your own product, even if it doesn't have to be. You trust the product. You can also use it like a selling tool to the homeowner sometimes as well, because you're selling something that's a sturdy product. You can trust it, and you've got all the paperwork to back it up as well.
And it's like a credibility. You're buying credibility.
Yeah.
So for me, if I was a small joiner in Windsor to say I've tested it myself, the client's got to look at it. Well, really?
Who are you to test it? Yeah.
The joinery
I opened the door and it worked. Yeah.
They've spent years testing. I'm
it's
using their
an
approved
added
system.
confidence.
You're buying in that expertise and confidence to say to the client, I'm working under this umbrella of experts, and it buys you that on top, which you can't get on your own in the market.
And you're making more profit.
And making more profit.
I love it when you keep saying that. I think that leads on brilliantly, because in summary, the Joinery Network, being part of it, has helped you grow your business, it's given you extra capacity without bolting on another factory or whatever. It's given that collaboration, but it's given us, which Andy sort of alluded to earlier, the opportunity to give confidence to the installer. The installer that used to say, oh, well, I'm only plastic aluminium because I haven't got the supply chain. We've actually, I would guess, and I am guessing, so I could be totally wrong here, but I'm guessing that with all of our manufacturers put together now, bearing in mind we're still growing, we've probably got the biggest facility all put together in the UK, and we're going to keep growing that. So actually, the confidence with the installer now, the installer market, which is mine and Andy's next target. We're going to go and get them. But that is a natural, yeah, absolutely. And we've sort of dipped our toe in the water with other things, which I won't bore you with. But it's definitely the way forward for the timber industry to be able to go with confidence with an installer's pack. For the Libnum brand,
approved installers and that kind of
correct.
thing.
Yes. And without doing what we've done, we'd never be able to do that with lots of different manufacturers.
Well, it would just be a nightmare, wouldn't it?
Well, you've got no control. You've got everything's different, like you've experienced it, as you put it, vegetable soup. So that's the next phase. So I think it leads us on quite nicely to the opportunity with B2B, the installer market. Where would you guys like to see that? What would you like us to be doing next, and where would you like your business to go down that installer route, or not, as the case may be? I don't know.